emotional eating is we've been conditioned to connect our emotions with food. So tonight I'm going to be talking about emotions and food and eating and where that comes from, like how it affects you and what you can do if you want to stop. And what I'm really intending is that you take away something today that really supports you in a shift on all levels: your mind, your body, your energy, your consciousness. So where did it come from? Well, we've been conditioned to connect emotions and food. So when unresolved emotions come to the surface, we tend to reach for food, for comfort, right? So it comes from these spaces. We've been conditioned, like when there's births, we have food. When there's birthdays, we have food. When there's a, job promotion, there's food. When there's death, there's food, right? Every Sunday you spend the holiday or once a month with your Nana and Papa or something, and you have the big pasta dinner, right? So there's these habits, there's these routines, there's these conditioning, there's a connection between food and emotions. Now think about it. When you were little and you fell off your bike and you got a boo-boo, I mean, what did you get? Like a popsicle or something, right? Or even just weird enough, like you go to the dentist and you get your braces off and they give you a load of candy that you haven't been able to eat for the years that you've been, having your braces on. And so, and even like you get sad, you're a little girl or you're a little boy and you get sad and, the adults don't know what to do with your emotions. So they want to like feed you, or they want to, give you ice cream, or, that we've even been manipulated into doing things. Well, if you're good, then I will get you an ice cream later. If you behave, if you do this thing that I want you to do, I will give you cake later. I'll give you cookies. You get to have that treat. You get to have that, that surprise when we get home, right? So from a very young age, we were conditioned to have connections with emotions and food. So there's nothing wrong about this. It's just like understanding, right? Understanding why perhaps you found yourself at the bottom of a container of ice cream or the bottom of a bag of chips when it's like not exactly what you want to be choosing for yourself. I'm not saying anything is wrong. I'm not saying any food is wrong. What I do want to say is coming through right now is that if there's any part of you that is making food wrong, there's likely another layer underneath that, which is, a way that there is some shame programming, there is some guilt programming, there's unresolved emotions that haven't been dealt with. So it's like you can, white knuckle it to try to take away the food from the way that you soothe yourself. But then if you or even the flip side of it is that if you're doing it, you find yourself at the bottom of the container or the bag, and then those shame and guilt comes in, it's like that's part of a pattern that you haven't, like there's multiple layers of why you haven't been able to break that habit of using food for soothing. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just about bringing awareness and supporting you and understanding that, there's a system that goes on inside, and it's not like you've been doing it wrong. You just have to go a little bit deeper, and you have to look at what is happening in your life from a holistic point of view, your whole life. Because what happens is that when these old wounds get triggered, or these old pains, right? So maybe it's like you find yourself feeling lonely on the weekend, nothing's happening, or at the end of the day, you've worked so hard and you're just like exhausted and you're overwhelmed, or you're frustrated, you're angry, you're scared, you had some stuff go on with clients or your business, or, stuff going on with money, or you miss being able to connect with the people. And so then you reach for food, right? And I'm talking about drinks and stuff like that too, but even shopping, there's multiple ways that we use things outside of ourselves to not really get to that place of what just really wants to come up and be seen. And you really just need 5 seconds of courage to be with stillness, to hear what's going on underneath it all, and then hold 90 seconds of presence with yourself and just breathing and working with the energy, and you actually can release it. It's about getting out of the story. Like, you don't need to know that it's connected to maybe you're feeling sad, or there's grief, or like why you're doing the thing. Okay. So what I want to share with you is that Um, it's like how this emotional eating affects us is that it's like you're not really getting in, like having a complete awareness of like where how you're feeling and what's happening for you, right? Like how you're feeling, and like how you create your life has so much to do with how you're feeling. And so if you're quieting it down, right? If you're quieting down the uncomfortable emotions or the unresolved pain, you're also quieting down your brilliance, your magic, your essence, right? That inner voice that wants to communicate and connect with you and channel these ideas and inspirations and give you the guidance that's going to take your life in a forward momentum, right? So if you're pushing it down in one area, it's going to push down in all areas. So this is another reason why you really just want to let it come to the surface when you're ready and when you choose. All right, so we have these emotional connections with food, later on in our life, we have, I don't know, we have a breakup or a stressful day or, processing some sadness or grief. And then we want to reach for food. Now, the first thing you want to do is just not make yourself wrong anymore. Just stop making yourself wrong. If that's what you do, you're going to, and this is the second part, is just start doing it consciously. Just start consciously choosing everything that you're doing. So what that's going to do is that, well, first of all, now you're no longer fighting against yourself, which is a whole other, state of being and paradigm to be in. Now you're in a space of empowerment. You're choosing consciously and you are aware of what you're doing and you're not going to make it wrong, right? So you are moving into empowerment by choosing the thing and being consciously aware, no matter how you're feeling. Even if you're feeling sad, if you want to eat the ice cream, eat the ice cream. Even if you're feeling and this is like, it's gonna sound, I'm going to get to that a little bit more about the unfuck your system cleanse. But it's like, when having the feelings, so you're aware of your feelings, you're aware of what you're choosing, you're not making yourself wrong. It's like a domino effect of the mind programs, the conditioning in your brain, the narrow pathways that, have made yourself wrong, have... because that's a lot of reasons why you'll get to the bottom of the thing without having awareness, is that it's like, it's almost as if you're like coming out of your body, because there's a part of you that is afraid to feel whatever's underneath. And I promise you right now, it's not as scary as your mind is telling you. What it really is that is underneath it all is a part of you that is looking for love and connection. Is a part, and so it's like when you start to make the conscious choices, no matter what you're feeling, and taking away the wrongness that you make yourself, right? So the guilt, the shame, the all the other feelings, making yourself bad or wrong. When you take all of that away, what happens is that, your inner self, the parts of you that you've been ignoring start to feel a little bit more trusting in coming to the surface and making themselves aware. Because now it knows now it knows that like there's love there, there's presence, there's, you're not making it wrong. And then you get the opportunity to like see what it is and have awareness and like feel it and let it go. So much of the emotional eating is about trying to keep that feeling under the surface, because there's a part of your mind that says it's going to be too hard, too painful, too disruptive. And it's not as bad as memories can't hurt you, thoughts can't hurt you. But what you're doing to not have the memories or not have the thoughts or not feel the pain that's under the surface, you are hurting yourself, right? Because you're not really connected to who you are. You're not listening to yourself. You are, potentially having health effects and maybe, putting some extra weight on that doesn't feel comfortable for you anymore. Okay, so that's I think that's the long and short of it. I'm just going to feel in and see if there's anything here. I think, yeah, so what wants to come through is like a summary, right? So again, through our lives, all of the celebrations, the deaths, the births, the promotions, right? Everything is connected to this food. So we make this connection between emotions and food. And so then what happens is that when we have other emotions, right? So loneliness, grief, sadness, we reach to these foods and drinks to soothe ourselves. And so the way, if you're ready to shift that, is one, you choose, okay, I'm ready to shift that. And then you have conscious awareness of everything that you're doing, right? And not making yourself wrong for it. And then what happens is that what's really under the surface will come to your awareness. And then from that space, you get to choose. There's always choice. Choice is your superpower. And you can only make the empowered choices when you have the awareness of what is really happening. So presence with yourself. And so what happens is that, so you may be wondering, well, Kellyanne, but I'm just going to keep eating ice cream consciously and bags of chips consciously and full-on pizzas like consciously and everything will work out. Well, essentially, when you start to like see what habit, what pattern, what is underneath your choice to be making those choices, then you have the opportunity to make another choice. You have an opportunity to change the story, change your perspective, be present with the energy that you're holding in your body, using your breath to move it through you. 5 seconds of courage to like pay attention, and 90 seconds to be present with yourself and just breathe and let wherever that sensation that you're feeling that is having you reach for food or drink so that you don't feel it, just that 90 seconds using your breath, you can move it through. That's when and how permanent lasting change can happen, when it's coming from that inner being, right? Underneath all of the unresolved pain or emotions and the connections to food. So I hope this has been helpful for you and that you're walking away with some kind of aha and an invitation for compassion as you bring awareness to this part of you, and an invitation for conscious choice and stopping making yourself bad or wrong or letting shame or guilt run through or have any connection to food. I'd really love to have you check out my website, www.kellyanncorey.com. If you listen to this and you know someone that would benefit from hearing the information, please do share it along.